The reality is property management is wild.
Today's moonshooter is Jennifer Wilson, founder and CEO of Monarch Management, a leading property management company here in the Inland Empire. In this chat, you will learn what it really takes to build trust and long-term success in real estate management.
You have someone to navigate challenges with. You have someone to bounce ideas off of. You have someone that is hopefully at the property on a regular basis, can see when there needs to be maintenance done or upcoming projects that need to be budgeted for. There's not just a contractual benefit for the owner, there's also structural benefits because there's a second set of eyes on the property.
Monarch Management is also sponsoring this episode, so big thanks to Jennifer and her team for the support. Now, dear friends, here's Jennifer Wilson. Welcome, Jennifer, from Monarch Management. Welcome to Moonshooters.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. We were looking for jokes about property management. Do you have any? Do you have any like jokes, insider jokes of your industry?
I don't know that they would be appropriate for the camera.
Okay.
I've been asked, would you write a book? Yes.
Uh-huh.
No one would read it.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do a movie? Yes. Or a show? Yes. But it would be full of bleeps.
Fantastic. No worries at all. We welcome again. And this is such a pleasure. We've been talking about this for quite some time, and it's good to have you on because property management is one of those fields that are misunderstood. So I'd like, with your presence, to basically unpack this industry, starting with the very basics. So for the novice homeowner out there, what is a property management? What is property management?
So the idea behind property management is it is a hands-off way of owning a rental property. So you hire a manager, they collect the rent, they deal with the tenant under a contract. The reality is it's 2 parts therapy, 3 parts detective work, a dash of Judge Judy, a heaping tablespoon of Jerry Springer. It's wild. The reality is property management is wild because you are living inside of a lot of people's lives.
So let's start with the benefits for the owners. Let's say I'm a homeowner. Maybe I have an apartment building. What are the main benefits for hiring a property management company?
You get to, the biggest benefit my owners see is I don't have to hear anything and I get money every month.
Okay.
So that's kind of the basis. Send me my money. Don't call me unless something's wrong.
Right.
The benefits are you have someone to navigate challenges with.
Mm-hmm.
You have someone to bounce ideas off of. You have someone that is hopefully at the property on a regular basis, can see when there needs to be maintenance done or upcoming projects that need to be budgeted for. There's not just a contractual benefit for the owner, there's also structural benefits because there's a second set of eyes on the property.
It's like passive income, basically. The property becomes some sort of a passive income for them. They don't have to worry about all the details and the technicalities of managing tenants and
Correct.
whatnot. And you also deal with renters. So what's the benefit for renters? Or are you the one who seeks the renter? What's the dynamic here? How do you get renters to rent the property?
We do list the property for rent. That is a part of the management agreement. The benefit for tenants from Monarch Management is we have a high qualification process for our property owners. So I don't know if you've heard the term slumlord. That's kind of a property management term that we use when owners don't care for their properties.
Yeah.
I don't take on properties like that. We take on properties that are well maintained. Doesn't mean they're perfect, but they are well maintained, kept clean. So the benefit for renters is they are getting a property that is well maintained.
Excellent. Yes. And also I believe that, part of your, because you have a list of a lot of properties on in your book. So that now when you meet a tenant or a potential tenant, you will be able to find the right property for their needs as well, right? Is this something that you do, um, analysis on the prospect?
I do. So, what you have to be really careful with in real estate is I have a contractual obligation to the property owner to find them a tenant.
Okay.
So, if a tenant comes to look at a property and it does not work for them, I have an opportunity to say, hey, I have something that may work for you. But it is not a time to dissuade a tenant from a property that you are showing.
Got it.
It is up to them to decide whether it works for them or it doesn't.
hmm And when it comes to owners who say, you know what, I'm going to do it DIY, I'm going to do it on my own, I don't need to pay property management fee, what they are missing when they go the DIY route?
The biggest problem I've seen owners that went DIY is placement of a tenant. I do believe a successful landlord tenant relationship, it starts at the screening process.
Explain
And
that to me.
so we're looking at components of your finances, right? We're looking at
hmm
your credit score, we're looking at your credit report, we're looking at your household income. But outside of that, there's still a story,
hmm
right? So sometimes I have owners who get caught up in the story and don't look at the financial aspect. Or they look at the financial aspect, they don't consider the story, and maybe they've let go of what could be a really good tenant.
mm
So it's a process. It takes a lot of experience
hmm
to navigate the the credit report,
Right.
the financials. I mean, the internet is bittersweet. You can make fake pay stubs on the internet. You can modify your bank statements with technology. And someone that like me who's looking at hundreds of applications every year
hmm
can spot those things. Where an owner who is maybe doing it once every 3 to 5 years, they may not
hmm
pick up on it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's generally where the downfall starts.
Maybe the bigger investment companies who have maybe hundreds of units, for them it's purely business rational, right? But when it comes to like new house owners, for example, I'm thinking about myself, like we own a house here. Let's say one day we decided to invest in another house, and we want a tenant who will take care of that house. So it's, we also, when we buy another property, it's a major investment for us. So we want the tenant to respect the house and the property, and we want also peace of mind. When you're doing the screening, how would you be able to detect which tenant is going to be a good tenant and which tenant is not going to be a good tenant?
Well, I don't have 100% success rate, but I have a pretty high one.
I
One
know everybody, when I asked about you, everybody was saying Jennifer is top of her game.
so I have a good feel for people.
hmm
And I do ask possible tenants to view a property prior to applying. And what that does is it allows them to view a property without any obligation. It's $40. I don't know, I've heard upwards of 80 to apply per adult, right?
hmm
So there's a financial investment. They come into the home, they look at the home, I'm there, we meet each other, we chat without any previous engagement. I haven't seen their credit. I don't know what
hmm
their finances look like. It just gives me time to know who they are.
hmm
That's obviously in an ideal market. We're coming out of a very busy market where I would go to showings and there'd be 30, 40, 50 people, and you don't
Wow.
have that opportunity. But as the market sort of makes a shift,
hmm
I'm back to where I get to Tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about what's going on with you.
Hmm.
Why are you moving? Why does this house work for you? Why does
Hmm.
it not?
And then after you screen, let's say 10 people saw the place, then you report back to the business owner. Is this how it works?
Yeah, I do share every application with my property owner,
Hmm.
and that's a different set of eyes
Right.
that may have a different opinion.
Hmm.
And that's okay. That's okay. We work through it together.
Any stories, like crazy stories that you'd like to share about things, either go completely bad or funny stories or any interesting?
Well, yesterday I had a tenant call me and say, hey, our toilet won't flush. We have one bathroom. We need it fixed. And by the way, 4 police officers were here yesterday searching for someone and removed a stolen vehicle from the property. And I'm like, well, okay, first things first, let's repair your toilet.
Okay. It's
Next
important.
order of business, let's figure out what's going on with the police
Oh my
department
gosh.
and what's going on the property,
Uh-huh.
right? They're not funny. It just gets wild, right?
Yeah.
Here, this person is like, I have a toilet that's not working.
Yeah.
And in the next instant, oh, by the way,
And you work 24/7.
it's 24/7.
24/7.
It's
How does
24/7.
that impact like your life when you work 24/7?
You have to learn to prioritize.
Okay.
So some items, someone may call me on Sunday and say, my toilet's running.
Mhm.
That's not a plumbing issue that we need to pay Sunday rates for. We can do Monday business hour rates, right? So
Mhm.
you kind of learn to prioritize, what do I need to handle today?
But what about like if you are in an event or in, you know, in a, you don't want distractions, but then you receive these calls. I mean, I wonder the people that you hang out with, are they distracted? Like I know, for example, my sister is a doctor, is a pediatrician, and it's such a torture to hang out with her because you will be talking and then her phone start to ring. And as a doctor, like they have to pick up. And are you this type of person, like when people hang out with you, it's hard to manage the calls and the distractions?
I was for a lot of years,
Okay.
but I've learned there's not much that happens that can't wait an hour or two.
Okay.
I mean, I've had fires, right?
Okay.
But I can't put the fire out. I mean, if there's a fire, our first step is 911. Let's get the fire department there,
That's true.
right? Right?
Yeah.
I've had criminal things go on properties. That's not for me to handle. That is for first responders,
No,
right?
I love that. It's a clear distinction between what as well. I think that renters should be educated about when to call your property management and when to call 911.
Right. I want to hear from you.
Okay.
I want to know the police have been there.
Mhm.
I want to know we have a small leak. I
Mhm.
want to know all of those things. Does it mean it's high priority and I'm handling it right away? Not every day.
Mhm.
Some days I have higher priority items that someone may not have hot water. I've got to get their problem fixed before I handle a small leak.
Let's talk about Monarch Management. When did you create? When did you start the company and why?
I started Monarch Management, I believe, in 2013. I started a management uh, portion of a business with under another brokerage. And we grew it. The broker at the time wasn't super excited about management because there is a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of liability that comes with it. And I didn't feel seen.
Mm.
They didn't advertise that they did property management. They didn't talk about property management. And I wanted to be seen. In the general real estate industry, a lot of people see property management as passive income. So a lot of agents will say, well, if the market slows down, I think I'll do property management.
Mm.
Does it work? Yeah, you can make it work for sure. But is it viable? Not really. I mean, I had to eventually make a decision that I am going to do property management, not doing sales. I'm doing property management. That is my primary focus.
Yeah.
Um, because a couple reasons. One, I don't want my clients to ever think that I'm putting tenants in their homes with hopes that those people will one day buy a house from me. I never want them to think that.
Mm.
And I don't do that. I do sales. Generally, the only sales I do is homes that I've managed, right? Because the time will come in most people's portfolio that it's time to sell.
So your the relationship is the most important. The relationship with the homeowners, and then you start with renting and leasing. Is there a difference between renting and leasing, by the way?
They're interchangeable in the
Uh-huh.
industry. There is a month-to-month rental agreement, which means it technically expires every 30 days, and when you pay rent, it goes on for another 30 days.
Right.
A lease is a contract of for a set amount of time, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months.
Hmm.
So they do have very different terms, but we use them interchangeably in the industry.
Got it. But the idea I was making is that basically you start with the homeowner, or maybe a bigger investor, let's call them, and then you start with renting their properties. But then at some point they want to exit their investment, and that's when you become their listing agent. Correct?
I give them that option. They are free to go anywhere they want.
Okay.
They are not bound to my office to sell, but I let them know I am a broker. I can sell properties and I'm willing to do it for you. But I'm not set up to solicit buyers and things like that.
I
Yeah.
mean, but in general, like if I am dealing with you, I have the relationship with you, I trust you. Who is better suited to sell my house? That is not the person who has been with me for the last 5 years renting and knows everything about the house, right?
Right. If the property's vacant,
Right.
it's kind of an open market. You could
Yeah.
get anyone to list it. When it's tenant occupied, it can be tricky,
Correct.
right? Because the tenant deserves proper notice of entry.
Hmm.
The tenant deserves a proper termination of tenancy, and you have to know those timelines.
Hmm.
I've run into times where, an owner wants to sell, they hire an agent, and suddenly the tenant doesn't matter. We're selling the home and we don't care.
Hmm.
California law does not allow for that sort of attitude.
Hmm.
You have to give proper notice. You have to give a proper termination of tenancy, and you need to know what that is. So generally, I'm a much bigger help when the property is tenant occupied because I can help them navigate that relationship.
Yes. And in all honesty, when we were looking for a house, it was much more easier for us to go and see a house that is not occupied versus occupied. The houses that we saw that are occupied, like you feel that you're invading someone's privacy. Like
Mhm.
their kids' toys are everywhere. Their dogs and their furniture. Even you don't see the house as it is really because it's their home now. So what do you think of these things? Do you advise owners to sell the house with the tenant in, or do you prefer to list the house after the tenant goes out?
So I hear all of those components that
Mhm.
you just discussed. Now we're going to add on um, a different part. The tenant's not benefiting from this sale. There's no benefit,
Correct.
right? The tenant has to find another place to live. So you are disrupting someone's life,
Hmm.
right? And they get mad, rightfully
Yeah.
so. Um, so I think it's easier to have the home vacant, but by no means do you have to wait. It's just easier.
That's mhm.
Yeah, because you're not only navigating legal timeframes, but you're navigating the emotions of someone who's getting their household taken away.
What do you feel that sets Monarch Management apart in the property management space? I know you mentioned that the focus, right? Like you only do that, which means that you will trust a skin doctor with your skin more than you trust a general doctor. And so that component is already, tackled. Is there any other things that you think that you do things differently from other property management companies?
I think understanding the basics of a home is a big part of it. Understanding the basics of plumbing, understanding HVAC components, understanding the lifespan of a roof, understanding when we need to plan for paint, I think is a big component. And I spend a lot of time in the field. I spend a lot of time at my properties, um, so that I can look for those things. Because sure, you can have a rental property, you can place a tenant, you can collect rent for 5, 10, 15 years and never do a thing. But what I have found is if that's what we're doing in that 10 or 15 years, you are now giving back everything you earned to get that home back into the condition it needs to be in.
It's more expensive to repair a big thing after like the whole roof is done versus like a little part of it.
Right. So part of what I'm discussing with property owners is where are you at financially when this needs a roof? Where are you at financially when the air conditioner fails and it's 102 and we have to do something immediately?
Yeah.
Right? So I think being able to have an eye for those things and not being afraid to
Hmm.
discuss those with an owner. If you own a rental property and you're breaking even and you don't have the money to make costly repairs, let's look at another option for you.
Hmm.
Let's look at some other ways to do this.
Hmm.
Maybe it is time to sell.
I feel that property management sits in between understanding contracting and understanding handyman work and understanding house maintenance. And at the same time, you need to understand the real estate market. So you have the micro and the macro perspective. You're like in the middle of all of that. You need to speak the painter's language, but you also need to speak real estate valuation language. And this is usually hard to manage both. So how did you develop the skills to be able to develop to have the understanding for on both sides?
Yeah, you become the jack of all trades and the master of none quickly. um, it's spending time at the property.
Hmm.
It's being there when vendors are there. It's asking questions. Why did this happen? How does this work?
Hmm.
Tell me more,
Hmm.
right? I could not give you any valuable information on your electrical system, but when I see, oh, there's a burned outlet, we have a problem.
Hmm.
We have a problem and we need to get that fixed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think how's your relationship with your team? When I'm talking team is basically also the plumber that you hire, the electrician that you hire. All of these are part of your team, some sort of speak. So the close. Are you close to them, and do you talk their language? And can you share some examples of how like you handle the relationship with with these professions?
Um, we do get personal, right? It's easy to discuss, we get done fixing a leaking faucet and then suddenly we're discussing the kids' grades at school, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just happens naturally. And when you are calling these people 3, 4, 5 times a week, you just develop a friendship over and above the vendor relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you do learn a lot of personal information. It's sacred,
Yeah.
right? It's sacred. I I really appreciate when people are willing to be vulnerable and share with me. And a lot
Mhm.
of my vendors have been willing to do that.
Last question about Monarch Management.
Okay.
The butterfly in the logo. What's the story?
So when I left the previous company and started on my own, I really think there was a subconscious feeling of transformation. You're here. This is what you're doing. I'm not here. I'm spreading my wings and going on my own.
Hmm.
It was not intentional. It just kind of came up. So, yeah, looking at that and looking back at where I was and what it took to go out on my own, I really think it was kind of a subconscious,
But why butterfly?
because we go from a caterpillar to
Huh?
a butterfly.
Wow.
They transition.
There's a transformation
There's
there.
transformation. Uh-huh.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my company is also after an animal,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just interesting for me to see your choice of the animal, which is the butterfly, and I love that part of because butterfly have a unique characteristic of you're literally having to shed all the I don't know what do you call that the caterpillar.
They cocoon and then they have to shed that and
Yeah,
they come out something completely different.
yeah,
My business today looks completely different than my business did 5 years ago.
yeah.
It looks completely different than it did 10 years ago,
Hmm.
right?
And that's why we're calling this show Moon Shooters. Is that business ownership is all about like having an idea and shooting for the moon. It might seem impossible to like when I look at when I started this 2 3 years ago and when it is now, like I wouldn't even imagine. I was just telling my wife that we have 10 people now, like 10 people who are dependent on our revenue or our yeah. So and then people only look at the business owner when they're successful. They don't see the dark hard work that is going on underneath the surface. It's kind of like a seed of a tree. The seed will have to go against the pressure of the dirt in a dark wet place for days, if not weeks, before it actually blossoms and grows. And people look at the tree, oh, this is so beautiful, but they don't see what happens beforehand. And I feel like this is a great also analogy with the butterfly and how your business kind of went from that stage to what it is now. So I love that. But can you share more the experience of deciding to taking the leap into starting the business on your own? Was it scary? How did you take that decision?
Of course it was scary.
Hmm.
I grew up, my father was a business owner, I think pretty much most of my life. So I had the business owner mentality. I had run the business that he created. I ran that for a number of years on my own. So I knew what it felt like to be a business owner when I
Hmm.
left. Navigating the complexities of leaving was difficult, right? Because I'm essentially taking contracts that belong to another office with me.
Hmm.
So navigating through that was complex.
Hmm.
I knew in my gut it was the right thing.
Hmm.
And looking back and how that other business has changed and they've moved on in different ways,
Hmm.
the timing couldn't have been any more perfect.
Hmm. Hmm.
But they weren't conscious at the time. But looking back, it was all happening at the right moment.
Right. So the timing is important.
Yes. Yeah.
So for other people out there listening to this, how would you detect that this is the right time?
For me, I think I got to enough volume of business that I was ready. This is kind of funny. One of the things was I wanted my own website
Mm.
with my own company name,
With your
right?
own butterfly logo.
Yes. So in real estate, a lot of times you'll find
Mm.
janesmithrealtor.com or however they do it, right? They're utilizing their name.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be the name of my company. I
Hmm.
wanted it to be its own entity.
Hmm.
Um, because maybe I won't be here one day and
Hmm.
someone else will have Monarch Management. But I was so ready to have a company name and
Hmm.
have a website with a company name. And it sounds so primary looking back,
Uh-huh.
but it was the driving force.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So, so how did you envision the company when you started it versus what it actually turned out right now?
I envisioned working with homeowners of single family homes that are rentals. Today, I do a lot of work on multi-unit properties. I do a lot of work inside of trusts that own multiple properties. I've got 2 mobile home parks that I oversee. So it has evolved into more strategic
Hmm.
type of rental properties. You really have to think through what is our next step.
Yeah, multitasking, a
Right.
lot of like planning.
Right. One house with one family,
Hmm.
it's easy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
12 apartments and everyone meets in the courtyard
Hmm.
with 14 different personalities is a different challenge,
Yeah.
right? And I did not at the time, I didn't think that big. Today, I see I see the importance of management on a bigger scale.
Start seeing the opportunity
Mhm.
and what's
Right.
yeah, I can relate 100%. Like I exactly that. I thought I started my business to have a job. Like literally.
Right.
You know, that's my limp was like, okay, I'm in a new country. I'm in America. I just finished my masters. I was applying to jobs, no one was hiring me because maybe my experience is not relevant here, right? Like I'm coming from Dubai, so probably they're seeing names that they don't know. And I know that I am, I have something to offer. I know that I have a lot of value. I have a lot of experience. I used to work with big brands. So that must translate into some value. And I thought that this maybe it's time. Maybe God or whatever is putting me in this spot in order for me to take that step. But at first I was like, okay, I mean, I need income. So I may as well just, I know how to do stuff. So let's do it. And now I can see how big it can go. Now I'm thinking, well, this is a media company now. We can make beautiful productions. We can shed light and showcase entrepreneurs like yourself, tell their story, showcase their expertise, and help make things happen in their space. And I feel like this is a beautiful thing that business owners go through. And I know I'm going on tangents here, but sometimes you gotta explain things.
I think
Go ahead.
when we start,
Hmm.
we have a tendency to say yes to everything.
Yes.
And we need to say yes to everything because we need to learn when to say no.
Hmm.
I got to say no yesterday. I got to tell an owner, I don't think I'm the right person for this property in this area,
Hmm.
right? Because over the course of the years, I've learned where I'm safe, right? There is a safety component to being a property manager. You are going into neighborhoods and communities that can be challenging. Um, so driving into that community, I was like, I don't know that I feel safe here. And I was capable of saying no, where I think 10 years ago, I would have just said yes
Hmm.
just to do it.
Yeah, but it gives you a lot of freedom to say no, to be able to say no,
Yes.
because then now you're being selective. Now
r-
you know who your ideal client.
Right.
And your business now is in Redlands.
Right. I'm in Calamasa. We were in
Uh
Redlands
huh.
about a year ago. And then we are now in Calamasa.
And how does the Inland Empire treating you? How is doing business in the Inland Empire? Have you grown up here?
I have been a 909er since 1976. Yes, I
Wow.
have been in the Inland Empire my entire life.
Have you, do you talk to other people in different states, similar industries? Do you compare notes? Is there anything different here? Maybe different from LA?
Oh boy. LA County is its own character. It's its own puppet show. People have asked me, I have a property in LA and I tell them, you you have to just do property management in LA County to navigate all of the the rules and the laws and the tenant protections that they have, I cannot keep up. So I generally just service San Bernardino and Riverside County. I do have a little bit in Orange County, but I do stay out of Los Angeles County. I've talked to other managers in other states. California's consumer friendly. So we are very tenant friendly here.
Mm.
In other states, they're not that friendly,
Mm-hmm.
right? Here, an eviction process could be 45 to 60 days. In other states, you're looking at 3 to 5 days.
Wow.
So we are very, very tenant friendly.
And compared San Bernardino and Riverside counties to, let's say, LA, are we talking like different laws, like completely, or what is like the main thing that is different, you think?
The biggest thing for LA County is going to be rent control.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a component of rent control in the state of California, but then each city or county can initiate controls beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
COVID changed Los Angeles County in big ways.
Mm.
Big ways. I don't even know that I'm caught up on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It changed here too, right? There was COVID protections for 2.5 years. And it changed how we, as simple as how we apply rent,
Mm-hmm.
right? For most of my career, we applied any rent paid to the oldest balance. It doesn't work like that anymore. So the accounting is different. And if you're posting notices, you have to understand the correct way to do it, or you're losing time, right? If an eviction is 60 days, that owner is 60 days with no rent.
Mm-hmm.
If you make a mistake, now you're 70 days, 90 days, right? So you have to know your market.
And your childhood, is there anything that you remember that shapes who you are growing in the Inland Empire, 909er, all the way? How was your childhood like?
So I grew up in a broken home. My parents were divorced, and so I went back and forth between my mom and my dad's house. Not bad. My mom worked for corporate America, and my dad was a business owner, and if he worked on the weekends, so did we, right? But I do remember as a child, my playtime or my time that I was doing things, I remember running businesses. Right? I remember having little businesses when I was playing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So your childhood visions are coming reality.
Right. I remember having a video store and I would rent videos to people. Like I can look back and think, I came here for this.
Wow.
I came here for this.
Do you believe that? Do you believe we're meant, like our destiny is pre-chosen for us?
I don't know that our exact destiny is, but I do think there are things about us that drive us in very particular directions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever picture myself working a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job. I just don't have the personality for it.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to show up at 7:30 and go home at 2, I need that freedom.
And I think this whole model of 9 to 5 is broken somehow, because a lot you can abuse it so easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can show up, but you're not working, and it's hard for people to really determine. Again, back to the conversation about business ownership is creating value, but a lot of like the 905 is like you have to put a lot of policies and procedure in place to be able to extract that value from that investment. For example, my team, till this day, no one in my team is just getting paid a flat rate. That's it. There's always outputs. So you have to output this, and for each output, there's a price tag for it, and it's usually more than if it was a flat fee. But I'm on purpose like trying to treat my employees as entrepreneurs. While you're handling one account now, while we have a new client, now you're handling two. That means double the income.
Right.
And so I want to instill that, because I feel like this is a big lesson of entrepreneurship that you can teach your employees, even if they are employees, but you can treat them as entrepreneurs. And I think that's why I'm saying that the model is shifting.
Hopefully, I make no income on a vacant property. There's
Mhm.
no management fee, there's no leasing fee, but I'm there and I'm making sure it gets clean, I'm making sure the repairs are getting done. So there is incentive to keep properties rented, right?
Mhm.
Which benefits the landlord and benefits the property manager.
Mhm.
And I think that if we bring those kind of incentives into the workplace, it would change, if anything, it'd change accountability.
Yeah, accountability is a big
Hmm.
word here.
Yeah.
But what got you into real estate in the beginning? Like, I know that you were working with a broker before, but from the get go of being in high school, did you make the decision to go into real estate right away, or it took your time? Did you try different things?
It was purely my parents said, you need to get a job.
Okay.
So right out of high school, I became an assistant to a top producing agent.
Okay.
I didn't have a license and I worked with her for a couple years. And then of course that rolled into you should get your license, right? So I did that, spent a number of years in the sales force working with buyers, working with sellers, still doing assistant work. But my limited college background, which is limited, um, and what I did in school was all accounting based. So I wanted to be a CPA,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents were like, they're kind of boring and you're not that boring. The property management component works really well for me because there's a big numbers part of it, right? Understanding the balance sheet, understanding the profit and loss, understanding, are we going to make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a good working knowledge of that. So the management side, it suits my education, right? I'm not the sales side because I tend to be less emotional. I don't get, I don't, I don't care if the couch is going to fit in the living room. Do the numbers work?
Exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, there's a lot of emotion on the sales side, and I'm just not cut out for that.
And knowing your numbers is one of probably the most important skill as a business owner. Are there other lessons that you've learned in your journey as a business owner that you could share with another aspiring entrepreneurs out there?
We have to become good listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the amount of stories that I've been told that have been shared with me, some excruciatingly painful and some phenomenally crazy, right? You start to listen and you realize the world is made up of just a lot of interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
I love what I do for the simple fact that I get to share people's lives with them. I've sat through people getting divorces. I'm right now going through someone losing their child, right? You're a part of it. You're a part of it. And the situation I'm going through right now was we were in an eviction and the person that needed to give up possession has now passed. So now I have a family who needs to resolve a legal matter, but they also have grief and
Mm-hmm.
there's sadness and there's all the other things that come with death, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes fragile. And you just really learn how much of that there is.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I really worked to overcome is judgment. And that's hard.
Wow.
It's hard. But just to sit without judgment and
Mm-hmm.
hear people's stories, it's really opened my eyes.
Which brings me to the question of the human experience, like when we're dealing with people, and like as you mentioned, you are up close and personal with their livelihood. What are some lessons that you can share um, with about that, about the human experience.
It's okay
Uh-huh.
if you have some Jerry Springer moments inside your family. It's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. They happen, right?
Mhm.
Things happen. And getting to hear some of the stories, it's sometimes it's beyond belief,
Mhm.
right? That's to me, that's the biggest lesson. I never believed this could happen to a human,
Mm.
right? Do I have an exact a memory? I don't. But over the years, I've just thought it's hard to believe this actually happens to humans here on earth, right?
Mm.
Humans go through this
Yeah.
and it's a lot.
Mhm.
I think about the stories over time and I realize how much I have to let go.
Mhm. Is there any specific story you can share? I know that a lot of it is sensitive, but
Mm,
I just to get the audience to, you're talking about these, right? I love the idea, the story that you shared about like they're dealing with grief, but at the same time they're dealing with eviction. So it must be very, very tough time for this family. Is there like I'm sure that there's more stories like that, but if nothing is on top of your mind, we can move on.
I've had to identify dead bodies inside of properties. I've done that twice.
Oh my gosh.
And then to have to find someone to notify. One of them, I was able to notify a family member, um, and that's hard.
Wow.
I picked up the phone and immediately thought to myself, how do you tell someone this? Right? I had another tenant who passed and I couldn't find anyone for them.
Oh my God.
So now what do I do? Right? I have their home full of stuff. So there's legalities around that. Who do you let it go to? How long do you keep it? Because now you are not collecting rent, right? So it's navigating how long do you hang on to it? When that time runs out, where do you put it? And then who do you give it to? I'm not, I don't ask people when they apply, please give me your will so I know what we're doing with your stuff in case you die, right? And some of my tenants who've been with us for 10, 12, 15 years, the people they have listed as emergency contacts, they may not be alive. They may have different phone numbers. So people don't think of those aspects.
Mm.
The story I referenced with the gentleman dying, his mom, she cannot receive his body because of her mental state. And there's nothing else, right? So they have to work through all of that, which is not any business on my part, but at least acknowledging the eviction is just a component of the entire story.
Mm.
It's just one piece of what is going on. It's not the whole piece.
How would you also know that someone passed away in your property? Like, does it happen by accident? You're trying to reach them, they're not there. You reach them again. You go to their property. Is this how?
Generally, yes.
Okay.
Generally, yes. In a multi-family situation, like an apartment complex. So I've got a couple of apartment complexes where I have elderly, and people will say to me, "I haven't seen so and so in a few days. Should we check on her?" Yes,
Mm.
of course. Let's check on her.
What sources of inspiration do you get? What do you read? What do you listen to? That stuff. Besides, of course, our podcast.
Right? Oh man, I am like the rebel of let's look at everything no one believes in.
Hmm.
I love to read about mediumship. I shared with you a little bit about human design.
Hmm.
I love reading about the quantum field, deep spirituality.
Hmm.
I just really am driven towards what the world tells us not to believe in.
Hmm.
I'm like, let's check it out.
The metaphysical.
Yeah, metaphysical.
I honestly believe there is something beyond physical, the physical. For example, when we are in a mental state, let's say if I am excited or anxious, or I feel like I emit vibrations beyond my words. And probably you've noticed today, like when we started this, I was trying to make sure everything is perfect before you arrive. I was, cleaning the SD cards, fixing the lighting and everything. It was like in that anxious state. And I feel like I rubbed on you. Have I? Just to test that theory of yours.
So yes, I can feel your
Uh-huh.
perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel how well you want to show the world your product, right? I feel
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a judgment about it. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that I do believe when we let go of our judgments,
Mm-hmm.
we feel people,
Yeah.
right? We know where they're at, and that's just where they're at,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let them land where they're at,
Yeah.
right? And let it work out the way it's going to work out.
Yeah.
I think you and I have discussed previously, I'm not a goal setter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an achiever. I definitely have things
Obviously.
I want to achieve, but I'm not working for the goal because I feel like you miss so much along the way,
Mm.
so much along the way
Yeah.
because you're
We
so
were talking
focused
about
out
this.
there,
Yeah.
and you don't see everything between here and there.
Yeah.
And we miss so much.
There is a poem. It's called The Station. When it says, I don't recall like the whole poem, but it's like basically what you're saying is that people say, when I finish high school, I will live happy ever after. And then they do that. And then they say, oh, when I graduate college, I'll live happy ever after. When I get my first job, I'll live happy ever after. When I buy my first car. And it keeps going. But they miss that the travel is the whole point. The whole
Mhm.
point of life is not the destination, it's the path to that. And I was talking to my wife as well about, the point is not to get married, it's to enjoy marriage. The point is not to own a house, it's to enjoy the house. Because once you have it, it means nothing anymore.
Right. My goal is to buy a house. And then what?
And then what?
And then what?
Exactly.
Right?
Because people who have stuff that you want, if you ask them, they're not satisfied.
Right.
It's just like you feel that if I get what they have, I'm going to be satisfied. And that's fine to have the journey, the aspiration to work hard, to work on your dreams. That's the joy. Every day when I wake up and I come to that desk behind me, that's the joy of life because I'm working on my dream. And the dream is not given to me. But maybe if the dream is given to me, I will not feel joy. I will not feel that kind of joy, at least.
I never set a goal to oversee over 300 doors.
Mm-hmm.
I never set a goal for that. I think what I was always working towards is everyone needs a roof over their head, right? Maybe not everyone. People need a roof over their head. They need a safe place to live.
Mm-hmm.
They need a safe place to come home to, right? Safe doesn't mean perfect. Safe doesn't mean it meets all of your needs. It's just safe, safe to be there, right? And that for me is a driving force in my business. I want people to feel like I can come here and we're safe, right? The toilet's not overflowing, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times, or especially early in my career, I would hear things like, they're just tenants.
Mm.
And I really realized it's just a title.
Mm-hmm.
They're humans just like you and I,
Of course.
right? And I do not hire landlords that say that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that is not how we do things here. These are humans, and we're sold on owning a home is the American dream. That's not everyone's dream,
Yeah.
right? It's not everyone's dream. Some people have no interest in owning a home, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Nothing.
And you know what's the even bigger myth is that if you get a mortgage, you really technically don't own the house. But people think, oh, I own a house.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we love our house, but technically we don't own it. The lender own it. If we
Right.
stop paying the mortgage, we don't have a house. So I think people are sold of this idea that owning a house meaning having a mortgage, but I think the real ownership is when you really paid off the house.
Right.
That's when you can call yourself a homeowner.
Right.
But I feel like people miss the boat here. They just want that step, which is, I think, there's nobody can wake up one day and have, I don't know, the house prices here in California, they're crazy, but it's hard to come up with $1 million or 700,000 to buy a house. So people have to, mortgages is an instrument to get there, which I
Right.
appreciate, but I don't think that we are glorifying house ownership, although 90% of people who think they own a house, they don't.
Correct.
So I totally agree with you here.
And really, the only thing different with renting a home is you can't change the carpet to something you want. I mean, you could if you work it out, right? And someone can ask you to move, right? But if you can't make your mortgage payment, the bank's going to ask you to move.
Exactly.
Right?
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
And it's also a lifestyle choice. I know people, like we met on the plane, someone who doesn't like to stay in one city for long.
Right.
They just like to travel and move around. And that's fine with that too.
Right. It goes right back to everyone's story. Like, what is your story? What are you doing? Right. I own a home and I have a mortgage because I've made that decision.
Yeah.
Right. But I also realize that's not everyone's decision, and that's okay.
What do you do for fun?
Oh, I just love hanging out with my horse.
You have a horse?
I have a horse.
Oh my God. What's his name? Oh,
her name is Foxy. She's a foxtrotter. She is a rescue. She was a show horse for many, many years. And now she's in retirement. So we just have fun, do easy things, and love on one another. She is the first horse. I volunteer at a horse rescue. She is the first horse that taught me horses do give hugs.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
How?
They wrap their head around you and they will pull you in close.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah. She came into the rescue a couple years ago, and I nursed a really bad wound that she had, that she came in with. I nursed it back to health. And we just became very close.
Wow.
Very, very close.
You have to send me pictures and videos
pictures,
or whatever.
Yeah. So I love that. Most people don't know this, but I do ride a motorcycle.
You do?
I do.
A Harley Davidson?
No.
You're not a Harley girl?
No.
Oh,
no.
wow.
Nothing. I don't think anything I own is American made.
Okay. So sports one?
I ride a Ducati.
Damn. That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I started on a Triumph, which was a vintage style motorcycle. Never had ridden a motorcycle I had ridden in the dirt, never on the street. Luckily, I have this neighborhood where I could ride in a circle for about 1,000 times and learn, right? That's how I learned.
Yeah.
My better half said, you just got to get on it and ride.
Yeah.
No lessons, just be on your way. So that's what we did. And I got rid of that bike and then moved on to a Ducati. So I'm riding a Ducati.
Ducati is like very powerful. At least
maybe. I mean, I have my wheelie control turned all the way up, and I have all the things that make you performance related turned all the way up. I think I ride in urban mode, but it's okay.
But do you rev it? Do you go fast?
No.
Okay.
No. You wouldn't see much difference if you had me on my motorcycle or a scooter.
You know what's funny? That before I met Diana, I went to a riding school and I passed and I got my license. I still have my M1 license, it's called. But then I met Diana and I felt like I'm serious about her and the relationship. And I chickened out. I never bought a motorcycle, although I know how to ride.
Yeah.
But I felt like I have too much to lose if something happened. And I didn't want to take the risk because it's riskier than a car for sure. Do you think about risk?
I thought about all the same things. And that's why I got my own bike, because I can be in control. and I'm not on the back of a
Mm.
bike with someone who loves to do wheelies
Mhm.
and go fast.
Right.
And so, yes, I have my own bike for all those reasons.
So you manage the risk.
Yes, I manage the risk.
Fantastic. But it's so much fun, right?
It
Like
is.
it's such a freedom to just be on you and nature, right? Especially
It's,
with scenic roads, they're beautiful.
yeah. And for me, it's just a time where there's no distractions,
Mm.
right? There's no phone, there's none of that because you have to pay attention to what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? You have to be aware of your surroundings. And that's the part I love the most is
Mm.
getting on my bike and knowing I can't answer the phone.
Yeah. You're completely focused.
I'm completely focused.
Wow, that has been a wonderful conversation, Jennifer. The only question I want to make a habit of asking, especially in this set, when we look at that moon, and for me, like this is looking at the sky in general and the moon specifically, it's a magical thing that we are. It shows you how small we are, yet how big we accomplish things. Like we actually went there. So, what's your moonshot?
Ooh, I'd have to think on that. What is my moonshot? Um, to be a good human,
Hmm.
to be a good human, to know, to walk the earth and know that there's room for all of us.
Hmm. I love that.
Yeah, there's room for everything. There's room for every belief you have.
Hmm.
There's room for all parts of you. There's room for all of us, and there's room for everything that's here.
I love that. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you
Thank you
for
for
having
having.
me.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.